How's it going, everyone? I'm the Zoomer Value Investor here today to talk to you about brokerages and banks. Now, if you're just starting off in the stock market and investing, it's going to be really important that you find a brokerage slash a bank that you're very comfortable with, that has, features that make you happy, that kind of like set you on your way to follow your dreams and go about, investing in your own way. So this is called the Bardock model, Bardock method here. This is a great way of just kind of comparing options when you are presenting. And how it works essentially is at the far left rows on the way down, as you can see, we got 4 banks slash brokerages I have immense experience with, starting with Robinhood, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and WeBull. Now at the top there, we got 6 things that investors like to see from their brokerages and banks. So those would be 6 categories, and we're going to rank all these brokerages based on these categories. So how's the website, how's the app user interface? Also we have how's the customer service generally? What type of fractional share options do they have? Do they have OTC options, foreign security options? Do they have crypto options? So just options in general outside of US stock market. Do they use no payment for order flow? I don't know if you are familiar with payment for order flow, but essentially big financial institutions, big hedge funds, when you get to that level in finance, they use every advantage they can to extract alpha, to extract higher performance, and just make, wealthy make more money, just use their wealth to make more money. That's like the strategy of a lot of hedge funds and whatnot. And one of the things that they do is they use what's called payment for order flow. So some of brokerages and banks out there, they actually will send the order flow information to, say Citadel or some of these other hedge funds who will then use that information to extract out more performance. So payment for order flow is very bad for retail investors, and it's bad for them because it's giving all your information away to hedge funds and whatnot if you are using a payment for order flow brokerage. So I prefer to use non-payment for order flow brokerages. Also clearinghouse, how good is their clearinghouse? So for example, you think about January 2021, around that time when the GameStop fiasco and all that was going on, a lot of trading on a lot of those securities were halted, such as GameStop, AMC, whatnot. And a lot of it has to do with some brokerages don't have great clearinghouse resources. They don't have the kind of sudden necessary capital it takes to put those mass orders that might suddenly, for whatever market irrational reasons arise. Those brokerages need the capital to make something like that happen, and they need that capital to have like a strong, firm clearinghouse. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss legacy and reputation of all these brokerages. And then we're also going to talk about just kind of like other funds that they might have. So some things that come to mind are, do they offer ETFs, ETF packages? Do they offer public research for their investors to look at? Do they offer any user tools, things of that nature? So let's go ahead and get started here. At the left, we're gonna go ahead and rank these by category, and we're just gonna go all the way on down, and for each one of the 4 banks. So starting with the website app user face, Robinhood is gonna win in this category. Maybe this is just the Zoomer in me, but Robinhood, they just have the best UI. Everything is so smooth, the colors, the way things pop. They've been criticized in the past for gamification of trading, but I mean, trading, investing, it's an adult activity. I personally believe you can't really blame that on like a UI or things like that. I believe that when you go into it, you should know what you're doing, and that is kind of more or less on the individual. I don't personally believe it's like Robinhood's fault that they made the app feel very intuitive. They made, a good app. Like, I don't think that's their fault. I don't think it's their fault they have a really good color palette and a very appealing to look at color palette. I don't think it's their fault that the buttons press very smoothly and everything's very responsive. Fidelity gets the job done. It gets the job done. Some buttons are a little clunky on the website and on the app. I really don't like that. As well as sometimes it's kind of hard to find something you're looking for. And it could be a little bit intimidating if you are new as an investor. like I said, some things are a little harder to look for. Like you'll know what you want to look for, but you like, where was this prior order? Where's my order history? Those kinds of things. But they're all there. Like Fidelity has everything, so it definitely has like the 3 out of 5 star score because it's passable. It certainly is passable UI. Same thing with Charles Schwab, more or less. It's very passable, can be a bit intimidating. Kind of comes across to me as like a same way as Fidelity. It's just kind of, if you're newer to investing and whatnot, you might be looking for something that could be challenging to find with all the different drop down windows and whatnot they have on Charles Schwab. WeBull, I really don't like WeBull's app and user interface. It just seems like a really far worse Robinhood to me, and it doesn't really have the professionalism of a Fidelity or Schwab, so I think it just kind of is the worst in all categories in that regard. Now, customer service. Robinhood does not have great customer service. I've seen a lot of, like for example, that January 2021 time I was alluding to, a lot of individuals, sometimes their securities can't sell, or their securities won't go through, their order transaction won't go through despite like a price change. Like I said, a lot of that is really just kind of like shady to me, especially when they are like one of the most notorious payment for order flow brokerages. So they really don't have great customer service. It can be really hard to get a hold of representative and whatnot, yada yada. Now, going on to Fidelity and Charles Schwab here, they both are gonna really be the best bet in this department as far as I'm concerned, and with what experience I can tell you. Charles Schwab, it's gonna be really easy to get a rep on the line, or it's really gonna be easy to get a rep in the live chat. It's the same thing with Fidelity. It's like someone will get to you. Someone will get to you if you make the active effort to write something out or to call a number, get something sorted. I personally will say that the Charles Schwab bankers and brokers are very knowledgeable, and I remember especially when I started out investing, just kind of like getting them on the phone and talking with them for anywhere, it could be like a half hour. Like I don't know who pays for them and their time to have me, I was like 22 at the time, just talking to this Charles Schwab broker for like a slew of questions for like 30 minutes straight, and they're so patient, so relaxed talking to me, so knowledgeable. So yeah, very impressed for the customer service of these two in particular. And then WeBull, it's more or less the same issue with Robinhood. It's a newer broker. They don't really have representative brokers to talk to you. It can be really hard to get someone on a line, etc. Now, moving on here to fractional shares, OTC, foreign investor options, crypto options. Who has options for me to invest in outside of just US stocks? Because I get bored of US stocks. I don't want to only hold US stocks all the time. So Robinhood, pretty good options here actually. Pretty good options here. They'll have the occasional chance of you buying a foreign security. Obviously, these are going to be different. Like they don't have fractional shares on foreign securities really. A lot of brokerages are going to have that issue, but that's just just the fact they have a foreign security is good. They have one every now and then. Every so often there'll be a foreign security that's on there. They don't really have OTC on Robinhood, but they do have great crypto options. You can actually, I will say that with Robinhood crypto, you own a paper that says you own the crypto. It's not like you're actually owning the crypto. So if that's really important to you and possessions and whatnot, I would actually look into the legal framework behind Robinhood crypto, because it probably isn't your best bet as far as long-term holds for crypto if you care about things like knowing the legal rights to your asset, etc., etc. But just the fact they offer like BTC, ETH trading, investing, whatnot, that's Fidelity and Charles Schwab, they just don't have that. Moving on to Fidelity, I actually gave Fidelity 5 stars because of their fractional share system is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Essentially, you can do any type of fractional share order you could think of, except if foreign securities gets a little difficult, but if I just wanted to buy like US stock or whatever, I could buy like, 0.1 share of like Google or something. And I could set like a limit order, so I could be like, I don't want to buy Google at this current price for fractional shares. I want to buy it at a lower price. So I set in 0.1 share, limit order, boom, it's sent. No other broker is going to do anything like that for you. Robinhood, if you want to buy a fractional share, you got to be okay with the price set at that moment when you're buying the fractional share. You can't set in any kind of like limit order or anything of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and give Fidelity 5 stars. It definitely sticks out to me as an above and beyond option as far as just putting in orders, limit orders, fractional share orders, etc., etc. And the fact that they don't offer crypto directly, I think, is very close-minded of me to like knock it off for that reason, because the Grayscale crypto trust, Grayscale Ethereum trust, Grayscale Bitcoin trust, these are all great methods to invest in crypto without actually having to hold the crypto yourself. All you will hold is a share of the Grayscale stock ticker, so GBTC for Grayscale Bitcoin trust, ETHE for the Grayscale Ethereum trust. And the thing is, actually, I believe with how much Ethereum they hold, with how much actual Bitcoin they have, that these trusts actually trade at a slight discount to their underlying assets. So these trusts are just, in my opinion, an equally great way to play the crypto space. So, and obviously, Fidelity is going to offer that. Charles Schwab's going to offer that. So I'm not going to knock these spaces out too hard in that, but it is something to note that Fidelity, in my opinion, just as far as options and the types of orders you could put in, bar none the best. And yeah, Charles Schwab, I'll say Charles Schwab, they do have foreign options, like incredible options, just like Fidelity, but I'm not so much as a fan of their new fee structure. In Fidelity, I'm really doing commission-free trades more often than not. But in Charles Schwab, especially recently, they just made the fee structure a little bit more difficult, especially with foreign securities. I believe each foreign security trade now, buy or sell, you pay like a $6 commission charge, and not that $6 is incredibly expensive, but when you compare $6 to like $0 for a lot of those same trades on Fidelity, it's just really hard to say that they're like, hanging with the best. And then WeBull does have fractional shares on like most US stocks, most US like ETFs, things of that nature, but it just really gets hit in the department of you're not placing like fractional limit share orders or anything of that nature like you could on Fidelity. They do have their own kind of like crypto house, which I think is really interesting, and I will give them credit for that. But that's pretty much it on WeBull. Now moving on to no payment for order flow, PFOF. Plus, how good is their clearinghouse? We're gonna talk about this category. Robinhood's gonna be by far the worst in this department. Their clearinghouse is not particularly to be trusted. If some other crazy like market fiasco happens, it's probably gonna be Robinhood who's the slowest to get back to trading like nominal normally, So meanwhile, Fidelity, they're going to be, letting their clients still conduct trades. Vanguard Group, they're probably going to be still letting their clients conduct trades. Fidelity and Vanguard, those are two that stick out in my mind, as they never went down in any kind of nature. Even Charles Schwab went down eventually and had difficulty letting people trade those tickers that got blown up, like GME, AMC, things of that nature. But yeah, like Fidelity and Vanguard, they never had this issue. So for this reason, I'm actually going to give Fidelity a 5-star. Phenomenal clearinghouse. They don't use payment for order flow. Even I know the Vanguard Group, they have a great clearinghouse and a lot of legacy and reputation. And they're not on here because I haven't used them before. But I will tell you that you can look into it. Vanguard does use payment for order flow. So I really, really think that as retail investors, we need to know what people are doing with our data. We need to know, are you selling our data? What are you doing with our data? How reputable are you? And Fidelity, they got the 5 stars. They're the best for that. They're not going to use our payment for order flow. They make their money in other ways. They have funds. They broker bank deals. They have banking services for their clients. They don't use payment for order flow. They don't make money in that kind of schemey way. Charles Schwab, they're going to get a 2-star in this department. They did have clearinghouse issues within the last couple years. They were one of the later, they were holding it up longer than a Robinhood or whatever could, but eventually they did have issues, as well as they do use payment for order flow sales. So I don't respect that particularly. Same thing with WeBull, same issues. Just they had issues with clearinghouses. Payment for order flow, that's something they do. Legacy and reputation, Robinhood is very much a new broker, and they've been through the fire. Like I said, January 2021 was really a test, really ruined a lot of reputation for a lot of clientele, including myself. I don't really trust Robinhood with any type of serious money at all, personally. But they do have one of the best apps UI interface. So I think it's really fun to trade on there with a small amount of my money, but I'm not really, using Robinhood particularly for my serious investment decisions for that reason. I don't think they have a great legacy or a great reputation. They haven't been around that long. You can actually look into the stock and the company itself, but a lot of debt, a lot of just their existence is run on a lot of, it's like debt and economic optimism that it's just going to be a thing, that Robinhood will be a successful company. It's very not proven, not established. We move over to Fidelity, however. Fidelity is a bank that's been around for a long time, before even the 80s, high reputation, doesn't use payment for order flow, really works to maintain that strong reputation with its clientele. A lot of the same things for Charles Schwab here. Schwab is newer than Fidelity. Like, Schwab really had its big coming up in the 1980s, around the same time where Peter Lynch was actually working as a portfolio manager at Fidelity. And I believe he held a decent amount of Charles Schwab stock during that big run. Yeah, that's just, they've been around for a decent amount of time. Pretty good legacy, pretty good reputation at Charles Schwab. WeBull is a newer brokerage, but they kind of became famous and came to light, during that January 2021 time where Robinhood was really being put to the test, and they kind of came to light as like a new brokerage option that essentially is not as corrupt. But they just don't have, it's still a new broker option. It's not nearly as established as like a Fidelity, obviously, so that's why I have it as a 2-star. And then moving on to other features, Robinhood, not really a ton of features here. Some things I really do like about the app are you just click on a security, it brings you to that main page of that stock, security, ticker, whatever you want to call it. And it'll have just like in the corner, like just telling you like what's the latest news. It'll tell you some like analyst reports, things like that. I think that's really nice, but it isn't amazing when you consider some of the other things that these other brokers will offer you. So moving on down to Fidelity. Fidelity's pretty good here. Fidelity has ETFs. It has, portfolio manager funds you can invest in. It has mutual funds you can invest in. A lot of these have great reputation. They have a great technology ETF, very, very low cost, even lower cost than the Vanguard ETFs, FTEC, FTech. This is going to be like your basic Microsoft, Apple ETF. But it's just the low expense ratio. I believe the expense ratio is like 0.06%. Like, that is very, very low for ETFs. I believe it could even be lower if you're holding it in a Fidelity account. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's something where some banks, brokerages do that, where it's like, if you hold our fund in our account, we're not going to really charge you that same expense ratio. But like I said, don't quote me on that. They offer public research. They offer a lot of public equity research. All the securities are given a Fidelity equity score. So you kind of know if Fidelity agrees with your holdings or not. I think that's very cool. I'm quite a big fan of Fidelity and just all the other features they offer. I think it's very complete. It's a very complete broker. Charles Schwab, I'm giving them 3 stars here. They do have great funds. One that comes to mind is the high dividend fund, SCHD. This is a pretty decent dividend ETF if you're into getting like regular dividend payments every couple months or so, every quarter or so. Holds a lot of the dividend aristocrat companies of the United States and beyond. Now, but I'm just not really blown away. Like, they have a decent amount of other user research. They have some tools that aren't really well proven at all. But they do have tools, like I said, they're just not well proven to be useful, particularly at this time. They're probably still innovating on those, working on those. But moving on down to WeBull, I actually think this is the category where WeBull does the best in. I'm a huge fan of the WeBull technical analysis app, the WeBull charts, all of that. I think WeBull's a great way to get familiar with technical analysis. Now, I'm the Zoomer value investor. Technical analysis is only a small part of my overall methods. I'm a fundamental analyst at heart. Like 90+% of my methods do come from fundamental analysis of like what's the underlying company looking like. But technical analysis I think is great for looking at short-term trends, momentum trends, things of that nature that are important, are going to factor into how your security does to some degree going forward. And I think I'm very thankful to WeBull that they have a great app. They have a great app for just user tools and looking at technical analysis, because thanks to WeBull, that's how I became familiar with things like, let me read a moving average, let me read a MACD, let me read a MACD cross, let me read what's a relative strength index, RSI. So like all that is owed to WeBull, is owed to just them making a phenomenal app and doing a phenomenal thing. So our winner here is going to be Fidelity with 26 stars total. That is by far more than anyone else on this list. Fidelity actually has 5 stars in 3 categories: fractional share, OTC, foreign investor options, crypto, no payment for order flow, or order clearinghouse, and legacy reputation. I certainly would recommend Fidelity would be the brokerage that most people would want to start on, really build their account with. You're not really going to have many issues with customer service. They're going to give you like honest service. It's just a great way to like start building up your own portfolio, start building up your own assets. I feel very safe. I sleep very well at night knowing that a majority of my money is invested with Fidelity. I feel like they have a great legacy and reputation. I feel like they just really are a cut above with the types of things that you can do and with the type of service that you get. So yeah, Fidelity, I certainly recommend that one. That is a broker I recommend to anyone. It doesn't really matter your account size. Like I said, you could be, you could have like a 6-figure account, 7-figure, 8-figure account. I still would kind of suggest you go to Fidelity amongst all the other options out there, as well as, you could have like $1,000 account or $100 account or whatever, and I'd still recommend you go to Fidelity because they have great fractional share options, all the kinds of things you could want. And all these, another thing I do want to note, all these brokerages will have they'll offer you like a free stock or like a sign up bonus or something of that nature. That's something I really suggest you explore. And that it might be a reason why you might want to have a couple accounts. Like I said, I got like the free stock through Robinhood many years ago, and I still use my Robinhood for some like shorter term trading and whatnot. And I really do enjoy the app user base, but I'm just not going to keep serious money on there. So like I said, you might want to open up an account with a couple of these. You might want to get some of those free benefits. You might, like I said, you might want to do your trading on Robinhood, but you're serious investing on Fidelity. All that's up to you, but difficult decision. I know that in the modern age, with all these brokerage options shoved in front of your face, it can be really hard to discern, like, where's the best place for me in my future? And I hope this video really put into perspective that I think you should be working with the best. I think you should go to Fidelity, you should lean to Fidelity. Maybe if some of these other categories are particularly more important to you, like you really want a good like app or user face or something like that, maybe you do use Robinhood. But I just really think that you're gonna sleep best at night with your money in Fidelity. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please feel free to leave a like, share with someone who is having a dilemma like this. I know it's very much a first world problem, honestly, but you gotta make decisions in life, and I hope this just made things easier. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.